Russia's War in Ukraine by Simone McCarthy, Joshua Berlinger, Lara Smith Spark, Adrienne Vogt, and Joe Ruiz, CNN. What we're covering: the key city of Severodonetsk and embattled Luhans is not caught up by Russian forces, Ukrainian officials say, but intense Russian shelling is underway as Moscow attempts to consolidate its grip on eastern Ukraine. France's Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Olaf Scholz urged Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine and withdraw Russia's troops in a phone call Saturday with the Russian president, German officials said. A branch of Ukraine's Orthodox Church has broken ties with Russia's Patriarch Kirill over the Russian spiritual leader's support for the war in Ukraine, deepening a rift between the Moscow Church and other Orthodox believers. The U.S. Defense Department said it is mindful and aware of Ukraine's request for multiple launch rocket systems, but decisions haven't been made yet. CNN reported Thursday the U.S. was preparing to send the weapons as part of a larger package of assistance. Russian-appointed Kherson official says referendum on joining Russia won't be held until fighting ceases, from CNN's Niamh Kennedy in London. The deputy head of the Russian-appointed administration in occupied Kherson says the region won't hold a referendum on formally joining Russia until fighting ceases in Kherson and nearby regions of Odessa and Mykolaiv. Kirill Stramosov, the deputy head of the Kherson Military Civilian Administration, told Reuters Saturday that currently there are no talks about a referendum. We'll announce later when some kind of vote or plebiscite is taking place, but it won't be today, and it won't be tomorrow because our first task is to restore order and organize a system of administration in the Kherson region, Stramosov added. Ukrainian officials previously warned that Russian forces and Russian-installed administrators were writing a sham referendum that would mirror similar Russian efforts in the Donbass to create separatist republics in 2014. The region in southern Ukraine has been under Russian control since the beginning of the invasion in late February. More than a dozen people spoke to CNN earlier this month about their terrifying journeys out of the occupied region, painting a vivid picture of the culture of fear that exists there. Now, while referendum plans appear to have been scaled back, Stramosov recently said pro-Moscow authorities of Kherson would recast a Russian military base. He also said the Russian-backed administration is pressing ahead with plans to set up a new banking system that would be fully integrated into the Russian system. Ukraine condemns arrival of Russian vessel in Mariupol port to load metal, from CNN's Nathan Hodge. Ukraine on Saturday condemned Russia for sending a ship to the captured Ukrainian city of Mariupol to load a shipment of metal bound for Russia. The Ukrainian Parliament's Commissioner for Human Rights, Lyudmila Denisova, said in a statement that the Russians were sending 3,000 tons of metal products by the first ship from Mariupol to Rostov-on-Don in Russia, in addition for more convenient removal of the loot. The occupiers have begun to restore railway connections in Mariupol and Volnovakha. Russian state news agency TASS reported Saturday that a Russian ship entered the seaport of Mariupol. It quoted a representative of the port administration as saying the vessel would load 2,700 tons of metal and depart for Rostov-on-Don on Monday. Denisova claimed that the Mariupol port housed about 200,000 tons of metal and cast iron worth $170 million prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Severodonetsk military chief says Ukraine's forces are in tough defensive position. From CNN's Julia Presniakova and Nathan Hodge. Alexander Stryuk, the head of the civil military administration in the embattled Ukrainian industrial city of Severodonetsk, said on Saturday that Ukrainian forces were in a tough defensive position as fighting raged on the outskirts of the city. In remarks on national television, Stryuk said some of the most intense fighting was concentrated around the Mir Hotel on the outskirts of the city. A rear battle can be heard in the main bus station area, he said. Our military is in a tough defensive position. The city is being constantly shelled. The humanitarian headquarters that is located in the city was practically immobilized today because it is not safe to move around the city, and the work of the headquarters was suspended. Stryuk described a dire situation, saying there were no mobile telephone communications and that electricity has been cut. His comments come just hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly address on Saturday that the time until Ukraine is liberated grows shorter every day and that it is just a matter of time before Ukraine takes back Russian gains. We supplied water to the city with the help of electricity pumping stations, he said. The water that is available is from open wells with generators. There are about 6 or 7 wells in the city. It is extremely dangerous. As soon as people gather for water, shelling begins there. Stryuk, however, expressed some confidence the city would be able to hold out with some limited supplies delivered over the road. There are still opportunities for reaching the city, he said. There are opportunities for delivery of minimum loads. This is extremely difficult, but still possible. The evacuation is very unsafe. Few people. Priority for the wounded. Only an initial level of medical care is available in the city. In a statement, the General Staff on the Armed Forces of Ukraine claimed the Russian forces suffered losses and retreated to some previously occupied positions in the direction of Severodonetsk, but added that the Russians were continuing to conduct reconnaissance of the area in order to identify and strike elements of the Ukrainian armed forces. Fedor Venislavsky, member of the Ukrainian Parliament's Committee for National Security, Defense and Intelligence, said the next few days will be decisive in the battle for Severodonetsk. Our forces pushed the enemy back to the positions he had previously held, he said, but we must understand that Russian troops are practically on the outskirts of Severodonetsk.